that we're picking up from the natural kingdom because of the way the shadow body structure works. It draws things into our body structure and our shields that doesn't belong there, and it gets trapped there as well. So there's a whole hanging up of evolution of the elementals, and figments are a little different. We'll get into them tomorrow. But they're actually like thought armies that go running around and stick to people's fields, and we stick to our little thought armies. Every thought you think becomes a something, and it goes somewhere. And most of the thoughts that have been thunk on this planet for the last 25,500 years have got stuck in our fields. And your thoughts might be in somebody's fields 2,000 years ago, and theirs might be stuck in yours now. This is part of what is smoothed over or veneered over as the karmic pattern. So we'll get into those a bit. It's also where you have incarnationals, like we consider ourselves incarnate in biological form. Incarnationals usually implies the mortality. All right. Right now we're experiencing ourselves as mortal, even though we weren't created to be that way, because we are in a body form that's not running enough primal life force currents to override the effects of some of the reverse currents that are running on the planet. So we deteriorate and fall apart. So when you incarnate, it implies you didn't just manifest. You had to incarnate. So incarnationals are ones like us, that some of them that didn't even start out this way, that they started out as incarnationals. Like a lot of animal forms, they weren't eternal life in that sense. Their consciousness is eternal, but many animal forms and plant forms were designed to experience the experience of reincarnation and a progressive expansion through first I'll be a plant, well maybe first I'll be an element, and then I'll be like a rock, and then I'll be a crystal that's a little bit more, like amplified rock and a bigger template. And then I will be a plant, and then I will be an animal. There's a whole set of experiences that are available, and then maybe as I'm animal, I will go up into like a human. Humans weren't created with that pattern. They can take that pattern, especially if their templates fall apart and they have to put them back together again. But it's not natural to have in our own pattern, our own DNA template, a history of coming up from elementals. Like I remember myself as a plant. All right. But certain other forms, like certain plants and animals, do have that incarnational thing as part of their natural template, where they are intended to die. Their bodies go back into the natural structure of the earth, and their consciousness moves on to a bigger form, because it accreted or drew in frequency during its experience as the animal or the plant, so it could go up to the next level of expansion and draw in more frequency. It's really about frequency accretion, the whole thing, about how much frequency you can bring into your body. And frequency is energy, and energy is consciousness. And this is where we get into these guys up here. And this is what we're going to start to learn about when we get into the science of the shields. Now, the nodus, tangus, logos, and atmos. These are the consciousness, the names of the consciousness of what are called the rays. Now, the rays is another word for the frequencies. You have 15 rays in a 15-dimensional system. One dimension equals one ray, right? But if we remember that rays are not just frequency, energy that we get to play with and direct somewhere, they are aspects of God's consciousness, which means the frequencies themselves are conscious. We are actually composed of the rays, or the dimensionalized frequencies. The consciousness of them this is where we get our consciousness. We have a piece of each of ourselves manifesting as each of the rays. So we have ray consciousness. Now, when we talk about ray consciousness, start with one dimension equals one ray, or frequency. That equals one identity in consciousness. All right, one living identity that manifests as the form of that ray. That would be called a nodus, the consciousness of one dimensionalized ray. Like if you have a dimension, all right, the full set of shields and the consciousness in the shields of that dimension is a nodus consciousness. Now, if we remember structure from the earlier dance sport programs, where each dimension has 12 sub-frequency bands down here, all right, that would be the 12 smaller consciousness that form one nodus consciousness, and they're called the tangus. Okay? The logos would be the smaller ones that form each of those. These are all consciousness, and the atmos would be the smallest aspects of consciousness that form these parts of the sub-frequency bands, and these parts of the sub-frequency bands together form a sub-frequency band, and 12 of those form a nodus. So what we're talking about is same dimensional structure. One dimension equals 12 sub-frequency bands. One dimension's consciousness is called the nodus, and it is a living consciousness field that has very specific information and I almost say emotive qualities stored within it, but emotion becomes something even bigger once you expand in the higher fields. These are consciousness that our bodies and our bodies, our subtle bodies as well, are composed of. So we are composed of the pieces of ourselves that are manifesting in the form of the dimensionalized frequencies or the noticed consciousness. Now this becomes important when we start to play with our shields and learn the science of the shields, because we learn to call on the specific parts of our own consciousness that are manifesting as that noticed consciousness, which means we can bring in the consciousness of, let's say, whatever the consciousness that is forming Dimension 1, whatever information it holds, whatever information it's the guardian of, all right? When you are able to run full dimension current, or Dimension 1 current, in your shields, you would literally embody the part of you that is part of Dimension 1 that holds that entire spectrum of knowledge. Take that up to 15 dimensions. That would take you all the way up to 15 dimensions worth of knowledge. You'd have to expand your template if you're not an indigo at that point, because you only have 12 in the normal human imprint. The noticed consciousness, the concept of the noticed consciousness helps us to begin to understand that we're not just dealing with dry frequency and dry structures. We're dealing with living structures. When we talk about the 12 root-shaped pillars, when we talk about the echo worlds, when we talk about our radial body fields, hello, all of that stuff. We're not just talking about energy patterns or energy forms or something that we, as spiritual beings, get to play with because it's not a spiritual being. These are other parts of ourselves manifest as spiritual beings that take on different forms. And the forms that they take on are called, there's body forms that each of these have. And the body forms are the little scalar wave patterns that are composed of Partakai, Partake, Particum, and Kilans that form the scalar waves that form our shields. All right? So we are composed of the noticed consciousness. All right? That's very distracting. I wonder what it is. Gosh, it sounds like they're crushing cars out there or something. Is that what it is? Okay. I was getting the image of, like, junkyards where they flatten cars. It was kind of like one of those. And a very large foot stepping on the cars in the parking lot. I don't know what it is. It could be. Yeah, it could be that too. Yeah. So the body forms are the scalar wave forms that literally form our shields. So we are made of the Nodus, Tangis, Logis, and Atmos consciousness. Now, the body forms themselves, that's the consciousness. Now, the body form it takes, those little scalar wave forms, are called nodes, tangents, logi, and atmi. So they're the body forms of the consciousness within them. These are the names of the consciousness. This goes all the way up the spectrum. All right. The 15 rays means you'd have 15 nodes. There are also something called constants. All right. Now, dimensional frequencies are mutable. All right. They can be combined and moved and combined, recombined. They can take different forms. They're smaller aspects of something larger that remains whole and constant all the time, that gives the dimensions or the nodes, notice, the ability to play with form and play with expression. The constants remain constant exactly in their form as they are at all times. Now, these are waveforms too. The constants, there are 12 constants. If you think back to the Cathara grids, where we have the 12 primal light field Cathara centers and then the 12 dimensionalized Cathara centers, we have the first 12 primal light and sound fields. They are the constants. Now you have 12 nodes below them, the 12 dimensionalized consciousness, but those other 3 nodes actually correspond with the primal light fields of dimension 13, 14, and 15. So they are both node and constant, which means they are both ray and standing waveform at the same time. It's kind of interesting when we begin to play with these forms, because there's also a way of playing with the Vecca codes and the symbols and things that we use where we start to realize that they are alive too. That those shapes we look at on a page, it's an energy signature. If you look at everything as an energy signature here, it might look like it's inanimate. There is no such thing as an inanimate object, really. There are things that don't move on the outside, but they are still alive in consciousness. All right? What? All right. We got company, too. Is anybody getting hot in here? Okay. I was just wondering if it was just me, because sometimes we get those, activations and just, it can be freezing outside and you're, really hot. We do have some company, and I'm not sure why. It's good company. We have a few of the Iani hanging out back here. And I think there's a couple more back there, and I don't know why yet, but they'll let me know anyway. Something's up. Oh, yeah, all right. Anyway, when they let me know, I'll let you know. Yeah. So, down here. All right, this is the 7 lower Vecca heavens. So we have our Nodus, Tangus, Logis, Atmos, and our constants, because the 7 lower Vecca heavens are actually the 12-dimensional systems. The 7 higher Vecca heavens are dimensions 13, 14, and 15, and the primal sound field. So they can be considered the 7 higher Vecca heavens. Here you have the Rishi. And remember, we each have a piece of ourselves that's one of those. We have a level of Rishi consciousness that's taking the form of a Brenna Rishi. We have the domain constants that we talked about. The geomantic entities, these are different names that have been used to describe the same thing, which are the constants or the Rishi consciousness entities. We have Rishi, ascended masters. This is going up into the link between the primal light fields and the God worlds when we get into the Eka worlds. These just show you some of the types of beings and things that live in the higher God worlds. It would be interesting to get a full census, but I don't think it's possible, because our world here is a tiny, tiny little microcosmic expression of those worlds. So all the different variations of races and forms and animals and plants and things that are here, this is a tiny version of the bigger picture that expands on each level up. So these are just some of the things that, like in the inner Eka worlds, you have the eternal flame of Amareya. That's that center point that starts all the way up from the top, that center Manu Amareya flame that comes down through the inner Ekas all the way through, and the keepers of the flame, the guardians of the flame, which would be like the Eoni races, the Indigo races, the Maharaji races of Sirius B, the Indigo races, the Orifim, which was the original human imprint, the Orifim angelic human, the Azarites, Palladias, the Cloisters, the Shambhali, the Eonic guardian races, which are all of these. You also have, directly connected with these, the Halls of Amente Stargates and the Cosmic Templar. This is where the knowledge of the gates and the Templar is really held. The inner Eka universes, all the way up, are the ones who have held that consciousness in case the expansion around them had problems. They would hold always, the ancient record keepers and the keepers of time as well. There's something we're just getting into that's called the cosmic clock that started to open up in France when we went to France. And I do believe Dance for Joy is going to be built on the knowledge that's going to come through about the cosmic clock. So these guys are the keepers of the cosmic clock and the cosmic records and all those kind of things. They're also the keepers and manufacturers, these guys, of the Cloister Doratura plates, the particular physical objects that stored that information on it for us. Flame keepers, gatekeepers, placeholders, Templar masters. These are all kind of like jobs that you can have when you're in the inner ecosystem. We're being trained for some of these jobs at this point. Right now, we actually serve as placeholders, some of us as keepers of the flame, the ones who can activate even 12-strand DNA, even if it wasn't an emergency situation on the planet, are keeping alive the original divine blueprint in this time matrix and resetting it back on the planet. That's what the angelic human 12-strand being was created to do, to be a keeper of the flame, which are the flame codes, the shield configurations that hold the configurations of the natural universal divine blueprint. So it could be reset if there was anything that was falling out of natural mathematical alignment with divine blueprint. The flame holder races would come back into a system like Earth, and simply by breathing, because breathing runs the Kundalini. And the Kundalini frequencies are the frequencies of the shields and the primal life force consciousness. If your template holds the divine blueprint, you come into a system that doesn't have it. If you can keep your channels open, which in certain cases you can, in other cases you can't, you can literally breathe the original healing pattern of divine blueprint back into the pattern. That's what humans were sent here to do in the first place. That's how we got caught up in this drama. We were sent into the Terran and Gaian systems to reset the divine blueprint of Earth, our Earth Terra Gaia system, after it had been hurt 250 billion years ago in the original sin period during the Elohim Wars. So there's a whole history that involves us with these beings that are here. And we have parts of ourselves that are those beings, simultaneous incarnations of ourselves that are in the eternal life races. These races, unless they get caught up in messes that mess up their template, like coming out of their inner echo worlds and getting involved in dramas here, where they can have their templates blown to smithereens and things. Now, these guys are eternal. Right. They're past the death experience. They don't experience death anymore. They can change. They can shapeshift if they want to. They have the ability that if they want to take on a bird form, they can move their template into the form of a bird. If they want to take on a human form, they can do that too. But most of them, these guys anyway, the Indigos and Maharaji, these were all built on. They look similar to us because we came out of their pattern. So the human pattern is, that's why there is this whole thing about, we were the closest, expression to God, or and that got all twisted up with it being supposedly man was created in God's image, so therefore only men are connected to God, and God is a man, and that means God gets to do this, and push women around. That was a whole twist. We were all created in the image of God, man and woman, and the image of God is a conscious being, a spirit being that has the ability to create with free will. That is the image we were all created in. So anyway, they're the keepers of all this ancient knowledge, all the way up in the stairway to heaven through the ecosystems. You have the Akasha worlds. You have Yanas, that's the Ascendant Master worlds. You have Grand Yanas, Vajrayanas, and Ramayanas, which are the three primary Yanas, or Ascendant Masters collective, that seated our particular 15-dimensional time matrix. Okay, so they're kind of like personal. They go with our 15-dimensional time matrix. You have eternal consciousness gestalts, or gestalts, just massive identities of consciousness that are collectives, but one at the same time. And they know themselves as individuals, but also as one, all at the same time. It's an interesting experience. It's different than the hive mind. They don't have a central control unit that directs them and makes them run around like little bees. It's more like we're all part of a collective. We all have independent thought, and we all recognize each of us are manifestations of the face of God, and we all know that we are one, as this expression as well, even though as our smaller parts we are one as also. So these are all our family, actually. When you go up the 15-dimensional scale and go up into the echo worlds and up into these worlds, the pieces of us we had to leave behind at each station on our way down are still there, and they're in the eternal consciousness fields. They're the parts of ourselves that we pick up as we expand and go back upward. Now you get into phantom and black hole underworld systems. The whole idea of underworlds comes from the black hole thing. If you want it in scientific terms, you call it a black hole, which I believe is a subtime distortion cycle. Okay, or something or other. What? Imploding? Yeah, there's a whole definition of it. Imploding something or other, subtime distortion cycle is what a black hole system is. It's something that fell mathematically out of the natural scalar wave arrangement of the natural matrix it came from, and because of that, its conduits of energy cut off from being able to receive energy from its natural system. And in the worst case scenario, if there has been something done to the pieces of the template that did go into that reversal, it's a reversal of the mathematics, where it went to a certain degree of mutation, it can't be brought back in anymore to its natural thing. So that is an imploding black hole system. If you look at it in terms of the old wives' tales and mythologies, you can look at it as the underworld. That's where you get phantoms, it's the fallen everything. So you have lost souls, fallen souls, and you can also have fallen souls over souls and avatars as well, and fallen entities. There's a few of those running around too. You have false creator gods, you have energy vampiring races, literally races that were created. Just like, if you look at it as your avatar self in density 4 decided it wanted to come down lower, so it created a you in density 3, created your oversoul, so your oversoul then decided it wanted to come down more, created you in density 2 as your soul, and your soul decided it wanted to come down like to the lowest level of manifestation, and it created you down here. Well, they do the same thing over there. If you have a D11 dark avatar, which you can in a black hole system, it creates its own little oversouls and they create souls and they create incarnates. And you have little teams of nasty little things running around all over the place, fulfilling the original intention of its creator. And if its creator happens to be a twisted consciousness from a black hole system that can't hold Christ consciousness anymore because of the distortions in this template. If we remember that the shields hold consciousness as well. If you have shield damage, your consciousness is damaged. It means you can't run the full spectrum of 12 dimensions or more, which means you can't run the Christos D12 frequency or higher. So when you have fallen systems, it implies fallen consciousness and fallen races. Black hole systems are interesting too when you think in terms of what we talked about up here with the Nodus, Tangis, Lotus, and Atmos. Now they're the consciousness of the rays here, right? Well, that would imply if some of our template can fall off, get twisted, go into reversal and mutation, and become a black hole, that black hole is conscious too. All right, it implies that it has its own twisted version of Nodus, Tangis, Lotus, and Atmos that are running a reverse matrix in their mathematics, which means they're running a reverse intention to the original divine creation. They are running the opposite expression. That would be the evil side, which is just live spelled backwards. Right? Now, when we think about, our shields, well, let's say we have some reverse scalar waves in our shields that need to be fixed. That means we have reverse consciousness in our shields. The things we talk about in the DNA template called miasms, which are where the karmic imprint is stored. These are all reversals of the natural mathematics that are organization that our shields should naturally have in its divine blueprint. If our shields are composed of scalar waves, they are thus composed of nodus, tangus, logis, etc. And if there are portions of those shields that are reversed and twisted, it implies that part of the consciousness of those black hole systems is living in us and with us right now. This is the part that uses the shadow body. The shadow body is connected to the phantom matrix that was originally part of our system. So our shadow body is originally part of us. It's a part that needs to be turned back around mathematically and healed and reintegrated. But the interface system that we'll talk about on Sunday, the BEAST interface system and the Metatronic implants, actually allow the consciousness from the Wysadek black hole system, which is in a completely different place in relation to the echo maps of the God World gates. I believe it's not even in our Akasha A. I think it's even not. We're not even in the same Akasha A scepter. Scepters and spectras. Yeah, spectra. Okay, there's so many words in this sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this or we're never going to get to where we need to be. So anyway, I just want to point out here, all these little thingies that we hear about here and there, like the river Styx mythologies, the ETs, angels, archangels, all these guys are coming from the phantom stuff. Angels, the kinds with wings, that's a hologram that they tend to project at you, the ones that are dealing with you from the black hole systems. I hate to tell them, we're the angels. And ourselves in the higher dimensional realities are the angelic presences. They take on the image. They gave us the images in the first place. The angelic image with the feathers and the wings and that kind of stuff came from a race of beings that were originally of the Seraphi. Now, the Seraphi, Seraphim are a family of consciousness. They're one of the three founders races in this time matrix. And some of them fell, just like some of the Elohim fell. And the Seraphi races that fell, they had a hominid and part avian form. Their original, before they fell, form was more bird-like, and as they mutated, there were experiments done to try to bring more of a human-type imprint into the body, and they created this amalgamation of a human imprint and a Seraphi imprint with the wings. So just because they're pretty and they wear pretty gowns and they usually have very nice hair and they talk sweetly and they usually smell like roses or something else, all that sweet stuff, it's all clothes, all right? It's like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie or read the book, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, where he stayed young and handsome, and everybody around him, all his friends are getting old and sickly, and years go by, and he's still young and handsome, and Dapper Dan dresses wonderful, has a beautiful house, all that. But there was a portrait somebody had done of him. It was a magic portrait, because all the horrible things he did to keep himself in that position and all the deals with the devil that he'd made were coming out in the portrait. Whereas his eyes are bulging out, and he was he was clearly gross and monstrous in the portrait, but he still had his nice business suit on. All right, this is what these guys are like. They'll, when you see an angel that's trying to do the, hi, I'm pretty, I'm an angel, I got wings like my wings, that kind of stuff, you catch one of those, I don't care how much it's trying to help you. Really think twice about why something would represent itself to you in that image. It's either A, something trying to mess with you, or B, some part of you feels it needs that image to get across the fact that some part of the higher dimensional spectrum is communicating with you because you adopted an image that was fed to you for generations and generations, and it was a false image. Angels can come in many forms. We don't even see angels when they walk by us on the street, and it's not because they're invisible. The real ones look like us. They look like everyday people, like we do. If you want to see an angel, look in the mirror. All right? Now, angels with shadow bodies attached become very confused because they have a good side that's really their nature and what appears to be a bad side that's always trying to mess with them. And sometimes it's real challenging and fun to follow the bad side just to see where it goes. And the bad side has part of the emotional body energy, so it's like you get a rush out of it. Doing stuff that, I know it's not in divine right order, but it's fun, that kind of stuff. You wouldn't feel that if you didn't have a shadow body. You would be absolutely yuck. I don't have any feeling of resonance with that at all. The only reason human beings resonate at times with doing stuff that's obviously not good for them or anybody else is because of the shadow body reversal that actually takes the emotional body into vibration with the shadow patterns, with the Wisadek attitudes and those kind of things. So, yeah, do something that feeds your reversals, feed the twisted parts of your template. The consciousness of the twisted notice and tangis and lotus that are in your templates feed through the shadow body from those experiences. If you can get involved in stuff like the drug scene, for example, that was all brought in here by the fallen races. Some of them Wisadek, some of them from the Phantom Matrix. Because you can get people strung out where they think they're having higher experiences, and you can make them do stuff. They can go get into the sensual pleasures. If you were a being stuck in a Wisadek matrix that had no emotional body, all you could do was think, but you could not feel. But you knew there was a race of beings that had this mysterious quality called emotional body. You might be able to feel through it. That's what they try to do with us. So that pleasure-seeking thing, that I know it's pleasurable, it feels good, but I know it's going to kill me kind of thing, that's coming from the shadow. What you're doing is being a vessel through the fulfillment of a rush for either the Wisadek or the shadow level of self. The shadow level of self isn't something you on purpose did to yourself. It's a result of the Metatronic implants that this planet got, this galaxy got, this universe got, that when you come in here, you pick them up. So it's not as if you were bad and God sentenced a part of you off into Shadowland. It's a part of you that was harmed, like an arm that was partially severed. It needs a very good cosmic doctor to put it back on and get its circuits running again. But the arm wasn't a bad arm to begin with. It was just part of you. Right? This is what we're working on when we're working to heal the shadow. The shadow dancers are different. Dancer is the word that applies to the things that attach to your shadow body, that use your shadow body to direct your energies to get you into that kind of polarity thinking. First, well, I'll be good today. No, I don't want to be good today. Yeah, I'll go to church today. No, I'm going to go down the bar. That kind of thing. We are living the shadow dancers' drama. We're living their matrices' drama out through our bodies because of what's been done here, and we can stop that. So the more we work with shadow body and things, the more healed we become, because that polarity, that getting pulled left, backwards and forwards, left and right, up and down, with those impulses in our own body, will begin to shift. It won't happen overnight, but it will begin the healing process. All this stuff takes place on the subconscious level. The shadow dancer, shadow body stuff, where people pull in energy. Yourself is pulling energy from itself, and something else is pulling energy from the part that stole it from you, from the part of you that stole it from you. That's being used to feed something else. We begin to heal all of that with shadow body healing technologies, and we begin to sever the connections to these worlds. Now, if we could help these guys, I love the New Age movement, because they'll come in, I saw D11 Shadow Dancer. Okay, I was in somebody's field. I know it was one of those. I really saw it and I felt it. So what did you do? I healed it and sent it into the light. You don't get it yet. You can't do that with them from here. They don't want to go into the light. Okay, they've had that choice. Those doors are open. They were open for ages. They don't want to go into the light. They want to eat your light. They will trick you into thinking that. There's a whole level of, honestly, good intention, wanting to help, but not realizing what you're up against. Before we can heal shadow dancers and send them off into the light, first we have to just respect them for who they are and the choices they're still making. They don't want to go into the light. Who are we to impose that on them? If they came and said, would you please? The first thing would be, okay, what's it going to try to do to me? All right? Because usually they have no feeling for the light like humans do, like indigos do. The light usually means source, God. They don't have that emotional body feeling connection because they don't have an emotional body anymore. That's what happens when you get fully Metatronic. What we call our emotional body level of our fields is completely ripped apart, and it's used to create the false mental body structure that creates the net that gives us a hologram to walk around in. So, anyway, I'm going to get on with this so we can get to this. How am I doing on time? What time is it? Yes.
One question about this. It says they're black holes.
Yes.
Through the teaching, maybe I assume that whenever we see a black hole out there, that on the other side of that would be like a sun in a different...
Natural black holes are different than what we're calling black holes here, okay? You have transmitting and receiving vortices, like every chakra, okay? You could look at it as a black and white hole set.
So on the other side of our black hole, we see the sun in a different...
Yeah, kind of, but it's a little more tricky than that. Like where the black holes are, they would see a sun on their side. sometimes that applies. I'm getting this. Nobody ever asked that question before, including me. He said sometimes that applies, but sometimes it doesn't. Okay, and not even to get into the answering that right now. So I can't answer it with the level of knowledge that I have had available. But he said it's going to be too long. It would take too long to try to get into that. Because he'd have to educate me, and then I'd have to pass it on. Now there are naturally occurring energy drawing systems, which would be the natural. You have a transmitting chakra and you have a receiving chakra. Okay, some pull energy from source and put it out in a manifestation. Like you could look at our Merkaba fields as black and white hole sets. Okay, one draws, contracts energy back up into source. The other expands energy out to source. The white hole would be expanding it out. The black hole would be, contracting it back. But that's just an organic expansion and contraction system. These black holes are different. These are formed by literally what's supposed to be spinning one way, because it's mathematics and it shield the shapes of its chelons, which are the little scalar wave bodies it's made out of, have been mutated. It actually falls out into a whole other spin that has nothing to do with the original spin that it was a part of, and it becomes an energy feeding thing. If we're naturally spiraling in, that would mean spiraling in to this matrix. We would have one set of currents, and if on that part of the template something that went into reversal would try to spiral back out, but it would suck energy into itself, because it would be like a Merkaba cone, like just a spiral. Its tip wasn't connected to anything above it, so it couldn't feed energy in and out. It might be able to draw it in, but it couldn't do anything with it once it was there. And if they feed too much, they will implode on themselves. And if they get if they get it cut off, the energy feed cut off, they will start to feed on themselves until they implode within themselves. So there's a difference between the natural and the inorganic structure of black holes. Black holes are also connected to wormholes, which are unnatural interface systems that were created from the black hole side to poke through into the natural fabric of the natural time matrix for feeding. And that's how this whole mess started in this particular universal Vecca. They created something called the Path of Arimathea wormhole, and that was how the Wisdite matrix got into phantom matrix, and from there they extended the wormhole into our natural matrix at D11.5. So this is a big problem as far as dimensional scale, but problems are just challenges that need to be solved. And if challenges can be looked at as divine games and opportunities for learning, you don't have to be afraid of anything. And really we aren't. There's no fear. We teach you not to be afraid in this system. So it is 4, did you say? Okay, because I'm just trying to work with the framework. I could keep going and going. I'm not used to these little short blocks. I usually go for 4 hours without a break, but that's hard on you guys. But I think there's a scheduled coffee break, which means somebody brings it out there. Is that how it works? Okay. That if we let it sit too long, it will be cold coffee by the time you get it. So I have to be careful with that. Okay. Is dinner the same way? No. Oh, good. So if we needed to put a little more on the end? Okay. That's good. That's good, because then we can... I'm almost where we need to be, but there's a few more that I won't go... This is just... There's some other stuff in this section in your books. It's like pages 11, 12... also pages like 23 and 24. Those pages are just kind of like filler information that gives you a rundown on the history. This stuff has been featured in other works at different places. I just put it in there to add, to remind you, and for people who haven't seen any of the other work, where you see a progression of history and a progression of our race lines and stuff. Okay, when we come back from it was a half hour, is that what it is, the coffee break? We make sure it's out there first? We have somebody check? Are we sure it's out there?
Sure, he's like, go to look.
Okay, well, I'll go to look. Do you want to go to look? Or you talk to him while I go to look? Okay, because somebody, yeah, I think it's out there. But they're getting it out there anyway. Is there anything that resembles coffee out there? It's out this way. Okay, it is out there now, though? It is ready. All right. So what we'll do when we get back is I'm not going to go through the little history charts and stuff. They're there. A lot of you have seen them already. If you haven't, you can read them right from there. That information is in some of the other published books, like Voyages Volume 2, 2nd edition. But we're going to go right into the nodes, the tangents, the logis, and the signs of the shields. So you can then start to... Well, first of all, one of the things you can determine by the end of this evening is what your contact ray is. All right? Now, there's a test that's fun that Az and the Guardians have created together, the witness test. It helps you to determine what primary frequencies you are actually running in your shields right now, and that can tell you a lot of things. So we're going to learn more about the shields when we get back. So when it's time to go into the witness test, you'll understand more of what it's about. For people who have taken the witness test, you have already been told that you can get different results from one day to another, because it means you're running different frequencies on those days. Sometimes it'll be consistent all the way through. But we actually got another step of analysis on it that's kind of fun. And through that, you can get your contact rate and a couple of other things. All right, so it's worth taking it again, for people who have already taken it. So when we get back, we will do the science of the shields and then take it into that this evening. All righty? Enjoy your coffee break. Sometimes I think I can talk forever. What? Back to black holes. Okay, we'll get started as soon as everybody's sitting down. I'm waiting for everybody to sit down. Come here. Alexei, come here. Did you give Daddy the room key?
Yes.
Okay, good. Are you going to stay?
So what are we doing now?
Going to go through a very rapid roll through the anatomy to get up to the point of flame body, to get to the point of where Daddy's going to do the witness test.
Well, I'm not sure there's nowhere else to go because he has the key now.
Well, that means he's upstairs. He went upstairs to get something. He'll be back. Why don't you stay till he comes back, then you can get the key from him. Okay. Now, we're going to talk for a few more minutes just on the black hole thing, because there's a part of that I didn't finish that's worth letting you know about ahead of time. Then we're going to go through very, very rapid flashing of graphs on the top, just to connect pieces of things you should have already seen or studied in the other two courses, where you see where your chakra systems and all that fit, going up to where the shields are. Then we're going to do the science of the shields, where you start to see the nodes, what they have to do with your shields, and what this has to do with the primal life force currents that are running through your body. And then we're going to go through that into very rapidly flashing the Merkaba points to show where that fits in with all of this, to get to the point where what we'll end with in my part of tonight's presentation is showing you what is called the crux sensata field looks like. Now, this was covered a little bit in Dance for Love, I believe, and we will show you in relation to the crux sensata field where the flame body field fits. Because tomorrow, when we start, we're going to go into understanding the anatomy of the flame body and flame body activation, which is a higher level of very rapid. It's the override program, to put it bluntly. It would usually take many, many years to get to the point where you'd go through the other smaller DNA activation levels, Merkaba activation levels, to get to the point where you'd even have exposure to these teachings. This is how I know that it's very true that the things that the guardians are telling us about the mass drama that we're in, they would not be releasing this information if it wasn't vital that we move through very rapidly. Even if our minds can't hold all of the data, our bodies still can hold a good portion of the flame body activations. So tomorrow is when we'll get into flame body anatomy and go into the techniques. Tomorrow's going to be very technique intensive. We'll try to break it up in a way where you don't have to try to stay awake for a 2-hour meditation all at one shot, because that can be really challenging. So we'll also get into shadow body tomorrow, where you find out where that fits in your anatomy and what needs to be done with it. But the beginnings of understanding shadow body have to do with understanding the black hole system and the universal shadow body. And quite simply, remember how we talked about the axis, the two axes that the phantom matrix and the Wesedat matrix interface with our universal Stargate system. We've shown how that works on this part of the graph up here. I'm flipping my own graphs now, so pardon me. I was just busy. We have the phantom matrix coming down this way in its gate system, and the Wisidet matrix coming down this way in its gate system, and the 666 gate configuration up here, which allows the link of the Arimathea wormhole to transmit frequency all the way down through our system, which is basically an invasion line into our system. This little part of the diagram over here, we're going to get into more on Sunday when we get into the anatomy of the beast, the universal beast, and start to see this machine and what it's composed of and basically what it's creating. This shows the interface like this does here. This shows something called the black cube matrix, which is what they're trying to form. The Metatronic matrix is formed on forcing together two templates from two completely different universal VECAs and creating a false template out of them by destroying part of each one and then electromagnetically forcing the remaining pieces, the other two together, to create an anomaly. Their whole system is built on this anomaly. Now, this is back to the Cosmic Akasha map, Akasha Ea map. This is up at the high level. Down here, this little tiny one, we're here, right? This is where our VECA is, way down in here. The Wisidet matrix, black hole system, is way over here. It's a completely different quadrant and corridor and spectra. It's not even, it's like nowhere, it doesn't belong in our system. In other words, it never belonged connected to our system. What that looks like in terms of the universal radial bodies is kind of like this, where this would be their radial body on this level, and this one would be ours on this level. This is the little part of theirs that had fallen. I mean, this is not a whole, their whole system didn't fall, just this little part did. Their little part of their VECA system fell. So it's only part of their VECA universe that's fallen. It's not like their Akasha fell or anything like that. But they managed to be able to plug in a frequency bridge, force a frequency bridge between their fallen matrix and the part of our matrix over here that had started to fall, the phantom matrix, but it still could have been because its template was just reversed. If it's just reversed, you can fix it. You can re-reverse it and reverse mutate it back to its natural state. But if it's half crushed and squashed into another template, the remaining parts that used to belong to it aren't there anymore, and the foreign parts are like a computer program that won't fit in your home matrix. So this is the difference between the phantom and theirs. The phantom matrix could have been reintegrated. It was like a little radial body that fell out of our bigger universal radial body, and it could have been brought back in. But they interfaced with into our matrix through this wormhole system. They came up in here. They came up in through. Let's see. This actually works, but I'm missing a part of this. This comes. Let me see. There's an angle that comes in here. Something got changed on this diagram. This used to come down this way. Anyway, what this looks like is it shows it going into our system, then coming back into Phantom. It actually comes into Phantom first. This should go down to the center point, comes through Phantom, and then loops into our system. And it creates this bridge, this wormhole bridge to their system. What that looks like on the dimensional scales, this graph down here, this graph becomes significant because you will see how this applies to your anatomy when we get into tomorrow's work on the net that's in your field and on the shadow body. But this is on the universal level. We're only seeing two densities here, dimension 1, 2, 3, so that's density 1. There's a density 1 void, and the dimensions 4, 5, and 6. That's density 2. That's the density 2 void. You'd have density 3 and density 4 and density 5 up here. Yes? Move this up? Okay, sure. All right. That better for people back there? Okay, great. So what this is basically showing is these capsules here would be the radial bodies surrounding each harmonic universe in one density. This is the normal side, how it would normally appear to be. You would have a radial body. You'd have the three harmonic universe Huva bodies, which are the smaller light sound bodies. Then around that, you would have something called the Eros field. You would have the Miage field. You'd have the Trion field, and then the Rayon field. That's the Trion-Miage field that some of the work is talking about. Trion refers to light, but it's particular particles that are called Trion units. And Miage refers to sound units called Mijans. All right? And Rayon units are what make up the Manu void field that's around the radial body capsules. So these are the structure of the natural radial body would be over here. I believe it's on this side. Yeah, with the diagram. What the mutations of the Metatronic implants in our planetary and universal grids have done is they've created distortions in the levels of the radio body. They've reversed part of the trion meage field, where instead of the light being on the outside and the sound being on the inside, which means the transmitting on the outside and the contracting on the inside, they've reversed it. So you have the sound body on the outside and the light body on the inside. It means the outside of the radio body field, instead of transmitting energy out into the unified field, actually sucks energy. It actually draws it in. It also creates what's called an electrostatic net of frequency. It's like when you put two ends of a magnet together, if they both have the positive electrical charge, they push each other away, or if they both have the negative electrical charge, they'll push each other away. The natural flow of the radio bodies is electrical magnetic, electrical magnetic, electrical magnetic, where the energy can circulate back and forth. What this field has done, this net field, is create areas in the radio body field that electrical hits a positive and negative hits a negative, so it creates distortion, and it creates a stasis field or a static field. These static fields manifest as this net, this kind of pokey looking thing here in the radial body. And this is on the universal level, but it's also on the personal level. This is the static field. It literally blocks the communication lines between the densities, which are the flow lines of the natural energies between the densities. Now, 2/3 of the universal radio body has undergone this reversal, all right, this net problem. That means 2/3 of our bodies have also gone through that. So there's only 1/3 of the natural pattern left. The flame body activations we'll go through, and that the universe is going to go through, will literally begin the process of restoring the natural trion meage field, where you have the light emanating on the outside and the sound on the inside, and the natural electromagnetic relationships. It will get rid of the nets. There's several layers of net that block the emotional level, the D2 from the D3, the D3 from the D4. This is why we have such a hard time with our consciousness here. Now, we pick up this pattern of our auric fields just from being incarnate in the system down here. It means that our connection to our emotional body goes subconscious. So our emotions just seem to have a life of their own, and they come up as impulses, and you're not quite sure where they're coming from or who's attached to them. It's literally created barriers between levels of consciousness that are supposed to be open to each other and communicate with each other. In terms of the universal systems, it's created blockages between the flows of energy and stargates. That's why the Halls of Amente interface system had to be put in, to open little conduits so the system could still work until it could be repaired. When we come over here, this is the phantom level. This would be the phantom matrix part. All right? That would be that little part that fell from our system. That phantom matrix part also has the reversals of the radial bodies, but the radial bodies are completely reversed there, but they're not fully pulled in to what's called the base 8 code. The base 8 code is 8 subfrequency bands per dimension, and they run in reverse mathematical order. It's not a natural configuration. There is no base 8 system except for the Wiesadek matrix. So the phantom is in the process of becoming what's called Wiesadect or Metatronic. They're in the process of trying to get rid of the 12 subfrequency bands and make them into 8 and then reverse them. It's a part of, there is a phantom Earth, there are all of the stargates. We have a phantom equivalent at this point. This is part of this beast mechanism, and it was literally billions of years in the making. This is not new in terms of linear time and in terms of Earth counting of linear time from the perspective of Earth. It would have been billions of years in the making. So we are at the final stage of the beast being made, where it can actually be activated fully now. And what full activation of the beast is intended to do is to take this reality system, flip it completely into this, into merger with this, and then pull them both into the black hole system. Over here is a system that would represent the black hole system. These things here, there would be 4 of them, but only 2 are showing. There's 2 more going up in the other 2 densities above this. These are known as the black hearts of Metatron implants, the 4 black hearts of Metatron, 4 black hearts of the beast. There are 2 other implants, one called the Avalon seal and one called the 666 Apollyon sign of the beast seal, which is the Metatronic seed atom. Now, the seed atom is literally an atomic structure created on the base 8 system that was fused into our system that has been implanted here and has literally mutated the heck out of our natural atomic structure. It's not just our bodies and plant bodies and things that are having problems. It's the literal structure of our atoms themselves that have been twisted by this base 8 interface system. What it also means, now this is them over in their system, over here. In the Wiesadek system, it actually runs in reverse order and back and if you want to look at the Cathara grids, for instance, our system would have It's natural, where you have gate 1, gate 2, gate 3 over here, which is on the right side. Gate 4 would be on the left side. If you were laying on the Cathara grid, that's how the Cathara grid is in your body. The phantom matrix is reversed left to right. All right, so actually you'd have 3 over here and 4 over here and 6 over here and 7 over there. This one is reversed left to right and turned upside down, where we have 12, they don't even have 12. Their highest is 11.5, and that would be on this end compared to ours, like if you stood them next to each other. That would be this system over here. There's a dimensional interface. They actually interface through the void spaces. All right, that's the radial body Rheon field level, the outer field, on each of the dimensions. Now, this would be our dimensional scale running this way. D1 through 6 is shown. Here you'd have phantom dimensions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here you have Wysadek dimensions, 11, 10, 9. And then the void space is offsetted, so their void connects to phantom phantom D4, and their D9 connects to the void in the natural density 1 void in phantom. And then that connects over through us in the same way, because we're on the same base scale as the phantom is. Going all the way up to D11.5 on our scale, they have this construct. And their numbers, if they're running backward, their lower bodies would be up connecting to our higher bodies, trying to pull energy from our higher bodies. Now, this is on a universal level, and literally our universal Vecca is having this problem. Their systems are created on what is called the light body system, where they don't have the amount of the Miage field. They don't have an intrinsic inside Miage field, which is the Mejan units that are the base sound fields. They wear that on the outside as the contracting force that enables them to suck energy from the other systems. They are in what's called stasis, where they don't have any natural openings between their densities. Like here, normally, if it wasn't for this net field in here, there's a tube of energy that progressively opens when, this is how your body ascends too, where the frequencies from one set of harmonics or one harmonic universe float into another, and then these can flow back out. So you have the circulation from source, from source, then going back into source again. They don't have that ability to do that, and their systems are actually phase locked. It creates an unnatural set of galaxies, planets, and stars that are very fixed, and they don't have the ability to do an ascension. They can't even ascend within their own spaces. So they have a fragmented identity. They have little parts of themselves running around in what would be their lower dimensional scale, and then they have the souls, and then they have the oversouls, and then they have a part of the dark avatars, and they go up to like D11.5. That's where you get the D11.5 dark avatars. So I just wanted to point out where they are, particularly in relation to us, to show that they don't even belong in our, fused to our matrix in the first place. This was them exercising their right of free will choice and using it in opposite expression of divine will. And even though Source doesn't create that or endorse it on purpose, Source allows it within reason. Now, we might think this is way out of reason already. All right. But this, from the perspective of being at one with God, is not that horrible to fix. Okay? The system, the natural divine blueprint system, was built on the idea, the intention of free will, love, and eternal life, which meant imbued within it, in its very mechanical structure, like the structure of how all of these parts of the system work together, was the impetus for energy will balance itself if it gets too far out of balance. This is what they're facing in the choices that they made. What the system will do, the matrix system will do now, because they have accreted to the, they have mutated their templates to the point where they can't go back into a natural healing process. Their only natural healing process is fragmentation, and then going back in to where they came from, but in pieces rather than as whole conscious beings with memory. So they'll lose their memory matrix, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea when you think about it. If I had a memory matrix like that, I think I'd want to lose it too. But of course, they're very proud of their memory matrix. But anyway, I just wanted to show you with the black hole systems what we're dealing with, because tomorrow we're going to see a bunch of diagrams that look like this that go with your body and show you where the shadow body is and what it's supposed to look like and where the astral body is and all sorts of things. You'll find out where that little thing is too. It's like everybody knows you got one, but who knows where it is? Right? I mean, it's that thing that goes flying out at night once in a while and you find it hanging on the ceiling, and but you don't know how it got there. All right, so we'll understand about that tomorrow too, but I just want to show you these things. Now, these little things here are feeder tubes. They actually go both ways. It's the implants in our systems that allow the energy to circulate through, but they can actually feed energy from our systems on the universal level through the void spaces that connect into the implants here, through the implants that are in phantom, and then directly into their matrix. This is also how they can do possession. Remember, consciousness is energy. These are open energy feeding tubes. They can pull and they can also push. So when we see things of possession, of people being possessed in things, it is a real phenomenon. What they do is they move their consciousness from here and they push it as far as they can into the template, through the shadow, and into as much of the natural template as they can. They can take over bodies. The more reversals or more miasmic imprint, reversal imprint in the shields on this side, the more susceptible a person is to possession and to being manipulated and impulsed by the ones from the Wissadet matrix. Now, we don't call them the evil ones because technically evil is just lives spelled backwards, which kind of like, I guess they are in that context. They're not really living in the natural sense of what being alive in the eternal life system means. They are very messed up. It's like the inmates are running the asylum over there, and it's going to stay that way there because that was their choice, and at this point we can't bring them back out of the asylum. So I just wanted you to see where the connections were here. Now we'll get to something more fun. Enough on black holes.
The Akasha. The blue sphere holds the energy for you until your body can handle the energy. If you can handle it, the energy will simply pass through the blue sphere. Now tone the Akasha song softly before you inhale 3 times. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Inhale as if you're going to grab the blue sphere containing the Akasha, located at the pineal. And on the exhale, move the Akasha blue sphere all the way down to Earth's core as you again tone the Akasha song. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Repeat the Akasha song 3 times more before you inhale. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Inhale and draw the Akasha sphere up to your personal Maharic shield, 12 inches below your feet. And exhale while watching the pale silver blue sphere expand out to a large sphere. Tone the Akasha song 3 times and watch or imagine as your Maharic shield pops out as a pale silver disc about 4 feet in diameter with a light coating of pale blue. Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha. Now bring your attention to the center of your Maharic shield 12 inches below your feet and tone the Akasha song 3 times before inhaling. Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha. Inhale the Akasha up into the heart chakra. And as you exhale, expand the frequencies of the Akasha into the heart chakra as you softly tone the Akasha song 3 times. Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha. I repeat the Akasha song 3 times again before inhaling. Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha Uma Etreina Akasha. Now inhale to grab the Akasha, and on the exhale, push the Akasha up into the 14th chakra, 36 inches above your head. Repeat the Akasha song 3 more times again. And imagine as you do that the Akasha is spinning in a clockwise direction within the 14th chakra. As you're doing this, try to feel or sense the energy around you, just a few inches out from your body. Now bring your attention into the location of your Maharic shield, 12 inches below your feet. Take a couple of relaxing breaths and inhale deeply, pulling the pale silver and blue energy up as if you're pulling on your Maharic seal to latch it onto your 14th chakra, 36 inches above your head. As you do this, try to feel the sensations just a few inches from around your body. This procedure gives you a quick seal. Now envision the cord of pale silver Maharic light that would normally come up with your shield and focus on the Earth's core. Inhale and begin drawing energy all the way up the 4-inch diameter cord and into the body. Inhale the frequency up into the heart center and expand it there. begin to form a pale silver ball of Maharic frequency in the heart center. On each exhale, send your energy down to the Earth's core. Inhale to bring up another load of Maharic frequency, up from the planetary shields. Expand the frequency into your heart center and repeat this several times. Try to feel or sense that your cord grows larger as you do this, expanding from approximately 4 inches, up to 6 inches, up to 8 inches in diameter. As you draw more and more frequency, loading your astral field, the cord will continue to expand until finally it feels like a skin around as well as within your body. Take one further final deep inhale. Expand the Maharic frequency through and around yourself. And just breathe out gently and easily. As you bring your attention now to the pale silver ball that you have created in your heart center. Inhale and move the pale silver ball up to the 14th chakra, 36 inches above your head. As you do, feel for the sheath of Maharic frequency encasing your etheric body close to your skin. This Maharic Christos skin charges and saturates your etheric body. Try to feel the peacefulness and all-knowing nature of this frequency. Now for 3 final breaths. Tone the Akasha song 3 times before inhaling. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Inhale, and on the exhale, expand the Maharic sheath outward around your body as you repeat the tones 3 times again, as the Maharic sheath begins to assume the teardrop shape of the Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Repeat the tones 3 times before inhaling once more. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Inhale. And exhale, and as you repeat the tones, this time, see or feel the Akasha teardrop expand out to embrace the 14th chakra, 36 inches above your head, as well as reaching down to the earth core at chakra 13 below your feet. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Now again for the final time, Repeat the tones 3 times before the inhale, and on the exhale, expand the Akasha and Maharic sheath out into the universe as far as you can, whilst toning the Akasha song for the final time. So, repeat the tones 3 times now before the inhale. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Inhale and exhale, expanding the Akasha and Maharic sheath out into the universe. As soon as you're ready, repeat the Akasha song 3 times. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Uma e tre ina e Akasha. Although it's very optional, it's usual that the quick seal is closed with the singing of the Song of Lyra, otherwise known as the Invocation of the Maharata, which appears as technique number 9A on this disc. Maharata kumbai vecta sazatanya tu in evu kai on iblion by vectai. Maha by vectai un ure on amor. Ista unta isa trajda era. Petate uma ashelumta asia inte doe. Shaddai akuntan akuntan. Shaddai akuntan akuntan. Shaddai Technique number 4. Commanding silence from the inner throne of power. After running the Akasha Maharic quick seal, close your eyes and breathe slowly for a few moments. As you're doing this, move your mental attention to a point of focus at the top of the breastbone, at chakra 8, just above chakra 4, and below chakra 5, below the clavicle. Beneath this position on the physical body lies the Azur A, the tiny control center for the embodied Kathara grid template within the base of the thymus gland. With your attention focused in the Azur A, imagine that a deep azure blue azurite crystal sphere is located within the Azur A. Within the azurite crystal lies the throne of power, the center point of the embodied Eka Godseed through which the eternal flame of Amareya embodies. And slowly move your attention from imagining the deep azure blue azurite crystal sphere in the azure, and bring into your awareness a spark of pale silver Maharic light. Imagine that your awareness is a spark of pale silver Maharic light, and as this spark of Maharic light, imagine that you are traveling into the center of the azurite crystal sphere, to the gateway of the Amareya flame of eternal Christed love. Imagine the Amareya gateway as a tiny Maharic silver egg, the cosmic Amareya egg, encased within a deep azure blue spherical standing wave. Imagine that you, as the eternal Maharic spark, move to the center of the Amareya egg within the azurite crystal. You have entered the place of your eternal birthright. You have entered the hallowed ground of your original divine heritage, as a living expression of the one God, Source. The Amareya egg within the Amareya gateway and the Manu azurite flame is the eternal still point, through which speaks the still small voice of the God Self within. Visualize or intend that you, as the spark of Maharic light, are now positioned within the Amareya gateway. A pale silver spark of light, encased within the pale silver Amareya egg, within the eternal azurite flame of the deep azure blue azurite crystal sphere, the inner Eka center point of creation. Here, all things are eternally still, calm and peaceful. Here is the sanctuary within, the inner temple of Kemalatiya, the eternal safe ground and perpetual guardian of one's personal, eternal, direct relationship to God Source. Inhale Maharic current up from chakra 13 at the earth core and into the azurite crystal center, directly into the Amareya gateway, through the azurite flame and into the Amareya egg. Exhale, gently filling the Amareya egg with Maharic current. Imagine now that the Amareya egg has begun to awaken, responding to your intention and desire to return to at-one-ment with your God Self. The Amareya egg now fills with pulsating pale silver Maharic light and expands, growing larger and larger, extending outward to encase your physical body in a beautiful, shimmering egg of eternal life. As the egg continues to expand, imagine now that you can sense the living presence of God Source and your personal God Self everywhere around you. You are encased within its eternal love, mercy, protection, and divine understanding. Imagine that you can see and feel the Amareya egg fully encasing your physical body, and that an azurite flame of deep azure blue extends into the room, fully enshrouding you within the Amareya egg capsule. Extend your imagination to remember that beyond the azurite flame is the azurite crystal sphere. Try to sense the azurite crystal as extending 20 feet or more around your physical body in the room. This brings your throne of power directly into the 3D world now. You are the still point now. You have brought the Amaraya gateway directly to the doorstep of D3 finite creation. From this point of eternal power and love, you can heal all, understand all, love all, co-create all. Within the Amaraya egg, you and God Source are one. You are now your God Self. Breathe slowly and gently and feel the truth of your God Self. Here now, eternal, feel the truth of your peace. Acknowledge and fully affirm this with strength, repeating out loud the following declaration of the God Self. Speak the words of your truth now. I am peace now. I am at one with all. I am in a safe and loving universe now. I am love and I am loved. I am innocent. I am healed. I know my eternal truth now. I am my eternal truth now. I am one with God now. I express as God now. And so it is. Repeat this affirmation of the eternal truth of the God Self until you begin to feel the reality and frequency of the words. Speak this truth to every atom and cell in your physical body. Speak this truth strongly and continually until you have generated a critical mass of energy and intention that is strong enough to call to silence, surrender and healing all shadow voices of fear and limitation. Repetition of this truth will build the reality of its strength into a tangible, impermeable, living waveform of eternal truth, love and power. We'll repeat here the affirmations twice more. I am peace now. I am at one with all. I am in a safe and loving universe now. I am love and I am loved. I am innocent. I am healed. I know my eternal truth now. I am my eternal truth now. I am one with God now. I express as God now. And so it is. I am peace now. I am at one with all. I am in a safe and loving universe now. I am love and I am loved. I am innocent. I am healed. I know the eternal truth now. I am the eternal truth now. I am one with God. I express as God now. And so it is. Inhale deeply, drawing Maharic current up again to the Azare point at the thymus gland. Exhale Maharic current into the Azare and feel the Maharic current rapidly expand to every atom and cell in your physical, emotional and mental bodies. The Maharic current is the carrier wave through which your affirmation of eternal truth is carried into every part of your being. Notice now if there is any tension, fear, discomfort, or unease, mental, emotional, or physical distraction occurring within your being. Pay attention to how your body feels, and seek out areas of self that are resisting the spoken truth of the God Self within. When you locate an area of resistance, focus your attention directly upon it and mentally restate your divine conviction as follows. I am the voice of peace. I am the voice of knowing. I am the voice of God Self. I now address thee and send to you now, from my unlimited store of eternal power and love, any healing that you may require. After mentally addressing and sending the divine intention of healing and love to the area of resistance within you, again inhale Maharic current up into the Azare point. Exhale the Maharic carrier wave into the Azare, allowing it to carry your stated gift of healing and love to every area of your being. Imagine that you are directing part of the Maharic carrier wave directly to the discovered areas of resistance. Breathe several Maharic breaths into and through the Azare throne of power, sending the gift of love and healing to all disharmonic energies within you. Repeat the affirmations twice more, and you may repeat the Maharic breathing twice more at the end of each cycle. Mentally restate your divine conviction. I am the voice of peace. I am the voice of knowing. I am the voice of God Self. I now address thee and send to you now, from my unlimited store of eternal power and love, any healing that you may require. Inhale Maharic current up into the Azare point, and exhale a Maharic carrier wave into the Azare, allowing it to carry your stated gift of healing and love to every part of your being. Repeat the affirmation one more time. Mentally, I am the voice of peace. I am the voice of knowing. I am the voice of God Self. I now address thee and send to you now, from my unlimited store of eternal power and love, any healing that you may require. Quickly breathe a few Maharic breaths into and through the Azare throne of power, sending your gift of love and healing to all disharmonic energies within you. Now take a deep inhale of Maharic current into the Azare and hold the breath for as long as you comfortably can, while mentally affirming, I decree the following intention from this, my throne of power. Exhale forcefully and feel your entire body, every atom, every cell, poised in readiness to receive divine instruction. Mentally or out loud affirm the following. I return now to my world of intention, in calm and centered peace and productivity. I command now the silence of the eternal God mind. I embrace now the stillness within. I go forth now in joyous victory. So as it is decreed, so as it is done. Ta Asia inta doe. Ta Asia inta doe. And finally, inhale Maharic current directly from the Azare, then exhale horizontally, using the exhale breath to expand a Maharic wave disk outward from the Azare, extending its perimeter to touch the inside of the Amaraya egg around your physical body. Inhale and imagine that the Maharic disk is now contracting with the inhale breath, drawing the Amaraya egg, the Azurite flame, and the Azurite crystal back into the Azare. Exhale once more into the Azare, using the exhale breath to deposit your throne of power back into its home station within the Azare in the thymus gland. Open your eyes and feel the loving power that lives always now within you. And in times of stress, draw Maharic breath into the Azare and Azurite crystal to stimulate and reactivate the God Self-Truth affirmation wave provided by this technique. Technique 5. Shadow Healing Preparation. Releasing elemental and figment attachments. After completing Technique 1, or following the final step of Technique 4, breathe gently and relax in a comfortable position. As you do this, call to mind the image of your silver sanctum, pale silver-blue Akasha capsule, and imagine an image of the silver sanctum centered within the Amaraya egg, within the Azurite flame and Azurite crystal at the Azare point in the base of the thymus gland. Inhale Maharic current up into the Azare and directly into your silver sanctum capsule, stationed within the Amaraya egg. Exhale Maharic current into your silver sanctum, using the exhale breath to expand the silver sanctum capsule and everything around it, the Amaraya egg, the Azurite flame, and the Azurite crystal, through and outside of the physical and etheric bodies and into the auric field several feet out from the body. Take 3 more deep inhale-exhale Maharic breaths, exhaled into the expanding silver sanctum, to complete its expansion outward into the auric field, completely surrounding the physical and etheric bodies several feet out on all sides. Just feel yourself sitting calmly and peacefully within the sacred space of your silver sanctum. With your eyes closed, breathe slowly and deeply for a few moments, feeling your internal Christos power base as a living wave of consciousness that is now alive and awakened within you. Relax your facial muscles into the posture of a relaxed, peaceful, contented smile. Move the focus of your attention to the E Umbi point, just below Chakra 2, center point at the navel. And imagine there that you can see the trapped, distorted, Density 1 elemental and figment attachment power centers. Imagine the attachment power centers as small, shiny black spheres, resembling polished coal, that orbit around what appears to be a central dark sun, the dark fallen sun. The dark fallen sun appears within the central vertical current at the E Umbi point as a rotating, dull, grey-black sphere resembling metallic iron, about the size of a golf ball, that is surrounded by a radiant but muddy-looking yellow-orange static aura, approximately 1 inch thick. The dark sun around which the attachment power centers orbit is the D1.75 Heart of Anubis, fourth black heart of Metatron implant, that draws in and holds attachments within the Density 1 shadow body. Breathe calmly and slowly for a moment while observing or imagining this Density 1 shadow solar system that is formed by the Density 1 metallic iron Anubis black heart implant and the carbon crystal cores of the reversed matrix Density 1 attachment shields. Now, take 3 inhale-exhale Maharic breaths, exhaling Maharic current upward to form a pale silver Maharic sphere within the heart chakra. Place your right palm over the E Umbi point, just below the navel, and inhale another Maharic breath, using the inhale to draw the Maharic sphere from the heart chakra upward and into the Azure point at the thymus. Exhale Maharic current into the Amaraya egg at the center of the Azurite flame within the Azurite crystal throne of power. Inhale another Maharic breath up and into the Maharic sphere in the Azure Amaraya egg. Then exhale forcefully, using the exhale breath to push the Maharic sphere all the way down from the Azure into the fourth heart chakra, then down the right arm and through the right palm, pushing the Azure-coded Maharic sphere directly through the Umbi point and into the center of the dark sun Metatronic Iron Heart implant. Take 2 more deep inhale-exhale Maharic breaths, exhaling Maharic current forcefully into the dark sun. Place your mental attention on the dark sun implant. Hold a clear mental intention of "We co-create attachment healing now," and repeat out loud the following fire letter language node tone command, which I shall repeat. Dur et e, isa no un e, ta e de. So repeat the node tone command. Dur et e, isa no un e, ta e de. Upon contact with the node tone command and Azure-coded Maharic current, imagine that the dark sun implant momentarily shudders, wobbles, and stops rotation. As the dark sun momentarily ceases to rotate, imagine that the attachment's small black carbon crystal sphere shield cores begin dropping downward, out of their orbit around the dark sun implant. Inhale Maharic current upward to Chakra 2 at the navel and exhale forcefully, using the exhale breath to activate your Density 1 telluric shield. Imagine that your telluric shield pops out from its Chakra 2 core orange seed crystal seal, which appears as a small, grape-sized orange crystal sphere within your central vertical current. Imagine that your telluric shield extends outward on a horizontal plane from the Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal. Imagine your telluric shield extending outward from your body at the Chakra 2 navel area to form a 3-foot rotating disc of pale pink, pale peach, and pale yellow light, surrounded by a pale silver Maharic aura. Inhale Maharic current upward and into the Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal at the center of your telluric shield within the central vertical current. As you inhale, imagine that the inhale breath is drawing all of the freed, shiny black spheres of the attachment's core carbon crystals into the Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal. Imagine that the orange sphere of the Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal momentarily turns a deep, dark, murky orange-brown as the seed seal collects the freed miasmic attachment carbon core crystals. Inhale Maharic current into the Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal and imagine the image of your small pale silver blue Eros flame at the Iumbi point, just below the navel. Exhale the Maharic breath into Chakra 2 orange seed crystal seal, while imagining that the pale silver blue Eros flame flares upward, its top point gently piercing the orange seed crystal seal at the center of Chakra 2. Inhale a slow, gentle Maharic breath up through the pale silver blue Eros flame and into the murky orange sphere of the miasm-loaded Chakra 2 seed crystal seal. Exhale Maharic current gently into the murky orange sphere of the seed seal. And imagine that the small, shiny black, miasmic attachment crystal spheres all simultaneously pop, transmuting into tiny, radiant sparks of pale silver blue Eros energy that quickly cool down to form tiny, pale silver blue, smooth celestite crystal spheres. Imagine that as the celestite crystal spheres form, the color of the Chakra 2 seed crystal seal clears and glows radiant orange, returning to its natural D2 frequency wavelength. With your mental attention on the spiraling vortex at Chakra 2, place your left palm over the front spiral of the vortex at the navel and inhale Maharic current up and into the Chakra 2 seed crystal seal. Gently exhale the Maharic current horizontally, running a thick, pale silver stream of Maharic current simultaneously backwards and forwards through and out of the front and rear Chakra 2 spirals. As you exhale, imagine the tiny celestite crystal spheres contain the shields of the previous attachments are magnetically drawn into your left palm as it covers the front Chakra 2 spiral. Imagine pale silver blue sparks of Eros energy gently spiraling outward from the rear spiral of Chakra 2 to disperse as a pale silver blue glittering cloud within the auric field about 1 foot out behind the physical body. Return to non-directed breathing. Breathe gently for a few moments while imagining that your telluric shield disc automatically contracts back into the orange seed crystal seal at chakra 2 within the central vertical current behind the navel, as the last celestite crystals draw into your left palm. Close your left hand around the invisible celestite crystals. Then lift your hand upward and a bit away from your body, as if you are about to let a butterfly fly free from your left hand. With your left wrist facing upward, slowly open your hand and imagine that ghost-like beings made of pale silver blue Eros light fly free from your left hand. The freed elementals and figments return their natural Christic evolutionary path, issuing a joyful, telepathic thank you to you for loving them enough to set them free. Before disengaging your attention, issue your own telepathic thank you to your own D12 Christos avatar self, the nodus consciousness of the rays, and the one God source of all creation, for this blessed opportunity to co-create healing through the frequencies and consciousness of divine Christic love. Technique 6, Shadow Healing Step 1, Shadow Shielding. After completing Technique 1 and Technique 5, or Technique 4 sequence and Technique 5, breathe gently and relax in a comfortable position. Call to mind the image of your silver sanctum, pale silver blue Akasha capsule, and imagine an image of the silver sanctum centered within the Amareya egg, within the azurite flame and azurite crystal at the azure point in the base of the thymus. Inhale Maharic current up into the azure and directly into your silver sanctum capsule, stationed within the Amareya egg. Exhale the Maharic current into your silver sanctum, using the exhale breath to expand the silver sanctum capsule and everything around it, Amareya egg, azurite flame and azurite crystal, through and outside of the physical and etheric bodies, and into the auric field several feet out from the body. Take 3 more deep inhale, exhale Maharic breaths, exhaled into the expanding silver sanctum, to complete its expansion outward into the auric field, completely surrounding the physical and etheric bodies several feet out on all sides. Feel yourself sitting calmly and peacefully within the sacred space of your silver sanctum. Now bring your attention and your focus to the Umbi point just below the navel, and call to mind the image of the dark fallen sun, the DE 1.75 heart of Anubis, 4th black heart of Metatron implant. The density 1 dark sun appears within the central vertical current at the Iumbi point as a rotating, dull, grey-black sphere, resembling metallic iron, about the size of a golf ball, that is surrounded by a radiant, muddy-looking yellow-orange static aura, approximately 1 inch thick. Now imagine that you can see a Metatronic feeding cord, a narrow pipe or a hose-like structure that extends out to the rear of the body on a horizontal plane from inside the Iumbi point dark sun to a position in your auric field just behind your left hip, about 6 to 8 inches beyond the physical body. The density 1 shadow body links to the organic density 1 physical and etheric bodies via the 4th black heart implant within the etheric body and shadow body Iumbi points. The density 1 shadow body stands behind and to the left with its back to the physical body on the DNA strand 2 node line. Imagine that you follow this Metatronic cord to its connection point within the shadow body subshield, where the horizontally extending cord connects to the shadow body via a small, dull, grey-black iron core crystal sphere, approximately the size of a large marble. In your mind's eye, imagine that you are mentally focusing upon the small, shadow body iron core crystal behind you in your auric field. Inhale pale silver Maharic current up from Earth's core to the Iumbi point in your physical etheric bodies, while calling to mind the image of the small, pale silver blue Eros flame stationed at the Iumbi point. Forcefully exhale Maharic current into the center of the Eros flame at the Iumbi point, and imagine that the Eros flame flares, then expands with the exhale breath, forming a secondary Silver Sanctum Akasha capsule replica within the boundaries of the primary Eros flame Akasha capsule surrounding you. Return your attention to the physical etheric Iumbi point. Inhale Maharic current into the physical etheric Iumbi point. Then forcefully exhale the Maharic current through the Iumbi point and out into the Silver Sanctum Akasha capsule replica in your auric field. Inhale another Maharic breath, this time imagining that the Silver Sanctum replica rapidly contracts with the inhale breath, drawing back into the physical etheric Iumbi point to become a tiny pale silver blue Eros flame replica within the Iumbi point itself. Exhale strongly while imagining that the tiny Eros flame replica enters the Metatronic feeding cord pipeline at the physical etheric Iumbi point, then travels on the exhale breath horizontally across the Metatronic cord and directly into the dull grey-black iron core crystal dark sun implant of the shadow body Iumbi point. With the pale silver blue Eros flame replica stationed in the dark sun iron core crystal implant of the shadow body, inhale Maharic current up from Earth's core through your physical body central vertical current up to the heart chakra. Exhale the Maharic current from the heart chakra upward and out the top of your head to chakra 14 36 inches above your head. Inhale while imagining a small, marble-sized, pale yellow sphere of light, the pale golden capstone node, D14, pale gold flame core crystal, within the center of the 14th chakra. Use a forceful exhale breath to push the pale golden capstone node downward from the 14th chakra to the physical etheric Iombi point below the navel. Inhale a 2-point abdominal Maharic breath, simultaneously drawing D12 pale silver Maharic current upward from Earth's core to the Iombi meeting point, while drawing pale gold D14 current downward from chakra 14 to meet the Maharic current within the Iombi. Imagine that the pale silver D12 Maharic and pale gold D14 Keirache currents combine within the Iombi to form a small, sparkling, pale golden silver sphere, the golden silver one, in the Iombi point. With the pale golden silver one sphere stationed within the physical etheric Iombi point, take a deep single point Maharic breath, drawing Maharic current into the center of the golden silver one sphere. Exhale slowly and deeply, while imagining the golden silver one sphere passing into and through the Metatronic cord, traveling with the exhale breath into the center of the small Eros flame replica, waiting at the center of the dull, gray-black iron core crystal dark sun implant in the shadow body Iombi point. Relax and return to non-directed breathing, and imagine that the golden silver one sphere begins to automatically expand within the pale silver blue Eros flame replica. Push from within by the expanding golden silver one sphere. Imagine that the Eros flame replica is expanding outward from the dark sun implant, through and beyond the boundaries of the shadow body, until the Eros flame replica has formed a silver sanctum Akasha capsule completely around the shadow body. Now imagine that the golden silver one sphere contracts to form a pale golden silver one aura filter, surrounding and permeating the dark sun iron core crystal sphere, while leaving the silver sanctum Akasha capsule secured around the shadow body. Begin to transmute the miasmic content of the shadow body by toning out loud 6 times the sacred secret song, Golden Silver One, Nodus name. Ra Ma'a, Ra Ma'a, Ra Ma'a, Ra Ma'a, Ra Ma'a, Ra Ma'a. With the sounding of the secret song, imagine that beautiful pale golden silver one rays emerge from the golden silver one aura filter, surrounding the dark sun, spreading throughout the dark charcoal grey silhouette of the shadow body. When critical mass miasm saturation is reached, the golden silver one rays will automatically contract back into the aura filter around the dark sun implant. Imagine that you can now hear with your inner ears or sense the vibrational fluctuations of the released miasmic level, transmuting back into primal sound vibration, clearing a miasmic level from the shadow body through direct demanifestation. Imagine that you can see the shadow body silhouette turning one shade lighter to become a mid-tone charcoal grey. As you slowly withdraw your mental attention from the shadow body world, know that the Silver Sanctum Akasha Capsule replica will remain bonded within the Density 1 shadow body subshield, creating a barrier of protection and healing around and within the Density 1 shadow body. The Gold and Silver 1 aura filter on the Dark Sun implant will also remain, assisting to automatically transmute and release elemental and figment attachments that are drawn into the Density 1 shadow body by the Dark Sun Heart of Anubis, 4th Black Heart of Metatron shield implant.